to come back quickly, but something like mussels can come back very quickly. So our friends at Escape have basically, architectural group at Columbia, have realized that basically they can rebuild. You can walk around Jamaica Bay, and literally every square foot of salt marsh has got about 100 rib mussels. Now, rib mussels, not to be insulting, they're kind of a damn weed. They'll grow anyplace, but that's what we want because they can take the worst conditions of New York City. All of our ancestors took it. They can take it too, and they will. And they basically, you just need to make habitat. So think of something like coir, like something like just like woven coconut. They'll attach to it in the intertidal, between the high tide mark and low tide mark. So the Escape and her whole crowd have basically looked at, not like the Army Corps. The Army Corps is just thinking breaking the speed of the water. Well, about 5 linear feet of salt marsh cuts down the velocity of water about tenfold.
Wow.
So they do pretty well. But the Army Corps just doesn't understand. You don't need to beat it with a concrete wall. Probably some Zen Buddhists. Blades of grass do the same thing, and bunches of mussels do the same thing. And so this is where we kind of need to go. A very simple thing. So I actually put in front of the Sea Level Rise Task Force years ago, before Sandy. Basically, if we had, you could put something like wind farms. You could basically make breakwaters out of wind farms. You could make breakwaters out of something that simply took the energy of waves and of flow, turbines. So this is high tech in a way. You could also do it with sea farms, the growing of seaweed, of mussels and seaweeds. But basically, if you want to keep water out, that is not going to work, because water, she's very powerful. If you want to slow it down, every last coral reef, every last seagrass bed, every last mussel buck does exactly that. So anytime you see something with concrete on it and no life, put the X on that, because it cannot work. Darwin noticed that every last island he sailed around was actually entirely surrounded by corals. He realized depth and water. This was true here too. It was mainly the oyster, but also the mussels and the clams, and the seagrasses, and every linear foot of edge of New York City is almost unbelievable. 45,000 acres, 70 square miles, 1/5 of the city is fill over tidal marsh. The garbage, the dredge material, it's all the beautiful straight edge you see. It was never here. Yeah. So when they talk about the East River, I know DEC, the state says no fill. We need to build our archipelagos for life, for bird habitat, for herons, for basically the creatures that come through here, including ourselves on kayaks maybe, but just also just as preserves. Because what this was, one of the richest temperate estuaries on the planet, and our friends at Escape are trying to do that in the water. The Army Corps should too, and they can learn this. And just what you're hearing about essentially diversity being the measure, the kinds of beings. Every probably square meter of El Jardín and all these beautiful gardens are capturing about a kilogram